back. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you catch this video. It's your boy Jay Taylor. This is for the voiceless. And I'm back with another video. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, so we got to talk about it. And as the title says, breaking news Southern Poverty Law Center accused of extremist funding. All right. So what we got to do is understand exactly what the Southern Poverty Law Center is first and foremost. And it's crazy because my cousin, man, he sent me this link and it was, we debate about racism. My position is pretty much that, yeah, racism still exists, but not in the capacity that it used to. You know what I'm saying? And, just like your phone, sometimes you have to update your phone so that, it'll still run efficiently. Pardon me. And that same thing with everything else, including race relations in the United States of America. Uh, Race relations at one point were horrible, but I think that in 2026 we need an update. A lot of times uh, things may not be exactly what they appear to be. And that's gonna reign clear in this video, and when he sent me this link about, oh man, you see the white man, yeah, they're funding terrorism, when he didn't even do his research on the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the acronym is SPLC, which I will be referring to throughout this video. But the SPLC is an Alabama-based 501c3 nonprofit legal advocacy organization founded in 1971 to monitor hate groups, fight white supremacy, and promote civil rights. It is widely recognized for tracking extremist organizations and creating hate maps. Founded in 1971, once again by Morris Dees and Joseph Levin Jr., the group focused on taking legal action against white supremacist groups and battling institutional racism. So this is a civil rights activist group, right? So majority of the members are black, right? So when you think about that, it makes sense. But what they have been accused of is going to blow your mind, right? In April 21st, 2026, the SPLC was indicted on charges including wire fraud, bank fraud, and money laundering. So they would, that was the day before yesterday. They just caught this indictment. Now, what's crazy about that is all of this was available to the Biden-Harris administration, but they didn't do anything about it. But Trump said, "Oh no, we gonna spin a block and we're gonna go ahead with this indictment," which I don't blame them because this is horrible. Prosecutors allege the SPLC used donation funds to pay millions of dollars to informants, some linked to violent hate groups like the KKK, without disclosing this to donors. So basically, this particular civil rights activist group was giving millions of dollars to white supremacist groups, the same white supremacist groups like the KKK, neo-Nazis, giving them the money that black people, you donating money to this organization, not knowing that they're gonna turn around and give the money to the same white supremacist groups that they say they fighting against. How crazy is that? The SPLC has defended its actions, stating the informant program was kept secret to protect lives and has denied the allegations. So basically, their defense is saying that, yeah, we gave millions of dollars to white supremacist groups in the form of some informants, right, to infiltrate these white supremacist groups to find out what their plans are. Does that make any sense? If you have to basically pay an informant to infiltrate the KKK or the neo-Nazis to find out about their plans of racism, if racism was at the capacity that you saying that it is for you to exist as an organization, you shouldn't have to send no informant, right? And this is what I'm saying. The amount of money we're going to get to it in a specific amounts and the groups that they donated to. If you're just paying one informant, you wouldn't have to donate this much money. This was, see, you have, and mind you, this is a left-leaning, liberal, progressive organization. We saw the same thing going on with George Soros and the other left-leaning groups like Act Blue that targeted Elon Musk, for example, that funded those people that were out here terrorizing Tesla dealerships and burning up Teslas on the street. Those people were paid to do that by billionaires. And we see the same thing on a micro level with this organization. Now, they probably didn't start off like that. They started off in 1971, which I would agree that in 1971, you probably had more, racism and these particular groups were at more of a capacity. But in 2026, a lot of this is fear mongering. And this is serious and it's dangerous because you have implemented all this fear into people's minds when it ain't even going down like that. Now let's continue. The SPLC allegedly secretly funded more than $3 million to leaders and members of extremist groups between 2014 and 2023, funding the very extremism it claimed to oppose. My question, like I had for my cousin, why would a black civil rights activist group even be in a conversation with a white supremacist group for a decade, sending them money, right? This is what I'm saying, like race hustling. See, race hustling is a huge business in America. You see mainstream media do it all the time, where they form these narratives to paint fear in the minds and the hearts of people to go out here and act on that fear. They're manufacturing racism because it's not in the capacity that it once was. And that's not me speaking up for nobody or trying to denigrate racism. I understand that racism still exists, especially on a systemic level, especially when we're talking about certain institutions like mass incarceration. That's something that you can have a valid argument about in the judiciary system because the overwhelming numbers show unequivocally that Black people are disproportionately affected by mass incarceration. We only make up 13% of the population, but we make up 60-70% of the prison population. You have an argument there, right? But this is something totally separate. We're talking about terrorists. I mean, when the last time we seen the KKK out here or neo-Nazis out here doing anything? You know what I'm saying? That I think I've seen a couple rallies over the last 5-10 years, but nothing to the extent that you would have to pay people to infiltrate them. I think that these people, as an organization, for it to sustain itself and continue to get donations and continue to get, it's a 501c, it's 501c up, so it's nonprofit, so it get federal funding. They got a huge office building that they got to pay for in Montgomery, Alabama, down south, right? They have to have racial tensions. So they're manufacturing racial tensions in American society to sustain itself as an organization, to receive money. That should let you know if they have to go out their way to manufacture racism, that maybe it's not as prevalent as you're saying it is. And that's messed up, man. Your organization should only address the situations as accordingly. Okay, if you got a racial situation, hey, your organization go after them legally, fine. But you should not be manufactured. That's bogus. And your donors, people that have been donating to you, should be ticked off. Like they should want their money back. But anyway, let's go into detail of the organizations and how much money that they have been giving these organizations. National Alliance is one organization. SPLC gave them $1 million. $1 million. They're out of West Virginia, a neo-Nazi organization called National Alliance. That's 1 million. Okay. They gave the Aryan Nations $300,000 based out of Idaho. They're a white supremacist organization. That's the Aryan Nations. So that's 2. Then you got Unite the Right, $270,000. They gave that to an informant identified as F-37, who was a member of the leadership group that planned the 2017 Charlottesville rally. If y'all remember that rally, where they made it seem as if that was when Trump first got in office the first time, that was Trump supporters out there in Charlottesville in 2017 rallying and kicking up all that dust. These people were paid. Why does one informant need $270,000? No, that was to fund a movement. This was paid by a left-leaning, majority black civil rights activist organization. That Charlottesville incident is directly tied to this organization. They paid for that so they can come in and create this atmosphere of racial tensions so they can get the money on the back end, get the funding, get the donations. So they didn't have nothing to do with Trump. They didn't have nothing to do with MAGA. This was manufactured, paid for, sponsored by a liberal left civil rights organization. That is insane, right? So that's 3. Then you got the National Alliance leadership. That's another white supremacist group. They gave them $140,000 to a former chairman of the group, right? So that's number 4. Then they got the Ku Klux Klan here. They gave the Ku Klux Klan $73,000 to a member of the Klan. Are you insane? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you got American Front. They gave $19,000 to the president of California, of this California-based white supremacist organization. So American Front, white supremacist organization out of California. So they spreading their shots all over the country. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. And I'm not done. They gave unspecified amounts were also funneled to the United Klans of America, the National Socialist Movement, the National Socialist Party of America, which is the Nazis. So that's 9 white supremacist groups that this organization, SPLC, gave money to. The last 3, they don't have the specific amounts. Why would you have to do that to monitor racial tensions? Talk about you paying informants. And this went on from 2014 to 2023. They saw a necessary need for their organization to sustain itself financially as a nonprofit, so they manufacture racial tensions. I told my cousin, man, you should feel like a fool bringing this to me, man. This ain't what you thought it was. And that's one thing we got to do, man. We got to constantly be aware. I don't care if they black, they white. If you understand, This is a black civil rights movement chopping it up with multiple white supremacist activist groups doing business behind closed doors, shady backroom deals to manufacture racial tensions in America because they know that's a sensitive subject, and they also know that's how they get their money. But yeah, man, insane. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we shall see you soon. Peace and blessings.